Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. And today, I'm going to do something a little bit different here on the channel. I'm going to be sharing some rare vinyl in my collection. And even though I am the CD guy, I do have a pretty cool collection of vinyl as well. And I would love to be able to show some rare items in my collection today. So that being said, let's get to the first album. I'm going to kick things off with Live Like a Suicide by Guns N' Roses. This is the original pressing. It is in perfect condition here and extremely rare, very hard to find is the first pressing, the original Live Like a Suicide here by GNR. Reportedly, only 25,000 copies were made and only 10,000 were sold. So the GNR fan in me is really happy to own this. And also, GNR, when they were first breaking into the business before Appetite for Destruction was released, were fantastic live. They were so hungry and powerful and aggressive in a live setting. And really happy to have an early GNR live album in my collection as well. You see the band on the back. That is Slash, Axl Rose, Duff McKagan, Steven Adler, and Izzy Stradlin. And track listing here, got a really cool track listing. Reckless Life, Nice Boys, a cover of Rose Tattoo, super underrated band from Australia. Move to the City and Mama Kin. Really solid set list there, and these tracks would be seen later on GNR Lives. But the original pressing here of Live Like a Suicide by Guns N' Roses is extremely rare, like I said, and I'm thrilled to have this in my collection in perfect condition. So first thing I'm going to show here is Live Like a Suicide by Guns N' Roses. Sticking with Guns N' Roses here, I'm going to go with the GNR Flexi disc, released at a select few record stores in anticipation for their debut Appetite for Destruction. And basically what this flexi disc is here is Steven Adler discussing the upcoming album, promoting it, and also you get a few sampler tracks, short sampler tracks as well here on this flexi disc. It was handed out at the front counter for a select few record stores before the release of Appetite for Destruction, which makes it pretty rare. The fact that not all record stores were able to obtain this, only a handful actually had the GNR Flexi disc before Appetite for Destruction was released. So another really cool original piece of early Guns N' Roses memorabilia here with the Flexi disc, released in anticipation and promotion of their upcoming debut album, Appetite for Destruction. Moving on to Kiss, I'm going to go with the first pressing of their debut album, Self-Titled here from 1974, and the only way to tell that this is the original version is that there's no Kiss in Time on it, which is a track that came after the first pressing, so that's the only way to tell. And vinyl here without Kiss in Time on it, the first pressing, are extremely rare, hard to find, and my copy is signed by Ace Frehley and Peter Criss as well. Really nice signatures there with a silver pen, and like I said, without Kiss in Time, which is the only way to tell if it's the first pressing, that is extremely rare and a really cool piece of Kiss memorabilia that I'm happy to have in my collection. The next item I'm going to be showing here is probably my favorite record I'm going to be showing today, and that is the self-titled album by Chelsea from 1970. This is pre-Kiss Peter Criss and his band Chelsea, and you can see Peter right here on the cover. This is extremely rare, hard to find, and the signature on here is authentic as well. It was signed in front of the presence of a family member who brought it to Peter, and this was sealed up until Peter signed it, so it's in very good condition, with the exception of one little spot here, but fantastic condition, like I said, otherwise, and really cool to see Peter on the cover pre-Kiss because, Kiss went without exposing their identities for a very long time, what their faces look like. So the fact that Peter Criss's face was in plain sight here for so many years and people didn't realize is really fascinating to me and really interesting. And this is an extremely rare and hard to find vinyl from Peter Criss's pre-Kiss era band, Chelsea. Really cool stuff. And like I said, my favorite thing that I'm showing here today, Chelsea's self-titled album signed by Peter Criss in very good condition, with the exception of this one little hole punch up in the top. Well, from 1970 to 1971, next up, I'm going to show the first pressing of Love It to Death by the original Alice Cooper group, and the first pressing is very hard to find because of the cover. Alice Cooper makes a lewd gesture here on the cover, which prompted the record company to freak out when they saw the Alice Cooper gesture here with his thumb, and forced the band to replace the cover on subsequent releases with a much more safe-for-work album cover here. But the first pressing, like I said, really hard to find and super cool if you're able to find it. And my copy is signed by the surviving members of the original Alice Cooper group as well, including Dennis Dunaway, who blashed his pen and wrote "Oops," which I think is kind of funny and even cooler. So my copy signed by the surviving members of the original group, and it's the thumb cover, which is really hard to find. Love It to Death, the first pressing. Up next, I've got more stuff from the original Alice Cooper group. Here is Live at the Astro Turf, the 7-inch, which features only 2 tracks here, that being I'm 18 and Is It My Body. This was recorded at Good Records on October 6, 2015. This does not feature the whole concert, but rather just the 2 tracks that I mentioned, and what makes this hard to find is the fact that when it was released, there were only 2,700 in existence, and I have copy number 142, which is really cool and super awesome to have this piece of Alice Cooper group memorabilia, this piece of history here, number 142 out of 2,700, like I said. And I also have the full-length LP released on Record Store Day 2018 of Alice Cooper live at the AstroTurf. Like I said, it's a really cool concert, and super happy to have this reunion piece of memorabilia here in my collection. Next up, how about a little bit of Iron Maiden here for this video? I'm going to go with my 12-inch French version of Iron Maiden's cover of Women in Uniform. The single released here in 1980, and the cover features Margaret Thatcher waiting in the wings to attack Eddie, so we'll see how that works out for her. Well, as you might have imagined, it didn't work out all that well for Margaret Thatcher. Here is Sanctuary, the 12-inch single released by Iron Maiden in 1980, the predecessor to Women in Uniform, which featured the beginning of Eddie versus Margaret Thatcher. Here's part 2, in which Eddie kills Margaret Thatcher, and this cover would be banned due to the violent nature of Eddie murdering Margaret Thatcher, but there's an iconic picture of Eddie there, and like I said, hard to find because of its banned nature. Coming up next is the first pressing of one of my all-time favorite albums, The Crimson Idol by Wasp, and this album here is one of the select few that was signed by Blackie in that beautiful red pen upon its release, and then if you turn it over to the back, you can see this is one of the red vinyl versions, and it was signed again by Blackie Lawless years later. I don't want to be the Crimson Idol, Blackie Lawless. He's got such a great signature, and it's a beautiful blue pen there. Looks really nice on the red vinyl. Like I said, one of my all-time favorite albums from one of my all-time favorite bands in Wasp, so really cool to have it here. That beautiful signature there by Blackie Lawless. The first pressing signed by Blackie, not once, but twice. Really awesome, and another one of my favorites here in my collection. To close things out, I have the Australian pressings of the original first 4 AC/DC albums, that being High Voltage, TNT, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, and finally, Let There Be Rock. You know, I love the Bon Scott era of AC/DC, and I think the Australian albums have a lot of merit to them, so really happy to have the Australian pressings of the first 4 AC/DC albums. Great albums, and like I said, I love the Bon Scott era to death, so really cool to have them in my collection. So that concludes this video of some of the rarest vinyl I have in my collection. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel down below. Help me reach my goal of 400 subs here on YouTube. Turn on the bell for notifications to be notified of a new upload. And in the comments below, let me know, did you enjoy this video? Because if you did, I have a lot more vinyl left to show you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know, and I'd be happy to do another vinyl video in the future. Till next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.